Hey guys, today I'm back in Besiege and I wanted to try beating every single level in the campaign using only one machine. Now this is going to be the first of two videos, and in this one, I'm just going to jump right into it and start building. So let's get right into it. So you can see here, for the first level, all I have to do is destroy that house. Now, I was just going to do that, but I thought it'd be better if I built up something that could beat a lot more levels. So to do that, what I have here is the beginnings of a drone. Now the advantage of a drone is that I can fly anywhere I want, and it's going to be incredibly useful in so many levels where I just need to get from point A to point B, or when I just need to quickly get away from people. It's super easy. So here didn't really work out that well. You can also see I put a flamethrower on the bottom, and I'm just bracing all the arms together, and this seemed to fix the problem of it just doing whatever it did. After I had that, I just turned all the controls on so that once I hit shift, it makes me go up, and seemed to mostly be happening there. And with that done, you can see I'm putting logic gates all around the core here, and those logic gates are going to control the left, the right, and the forward and backward tilt, so I'm able to actually drive around wherever I want to go, or fly around wherever I want to go. So once I had those all in place there, I just gave it a quick shot, and you can see now I'm able to control which one of these is on at any given time. And that, in combination with this other control I'm putting in place, which allows it to go straight up and down, I'm pretty much able to go wherever I want. Now it's a little bit messy. You can see here I'm sort of going all over the place, and I just barely get the flamethrower on top of the house. That allows me to beat the level, but that wasn't that great. But with that done, next thing I wanted to work on is actually the wheels. So I want this to sort of be a hybrid car drone thing, so I'm able to drive wherever I need to go, but at the same time I can take off if I need to. So I put the wheels in place, and I'm also putting a steering hinge in the front, so I'm able to go from side to side. And once I had that done, I just made sure to extend out the wheels a bit more so that I don't just tip over when I try to drive. Then I just had to rebrace it to the body. And once that's done, you can see here I'm able to move the wheels side to side. And to beat the level, I just sort of did this, and it worked. I'll probably have to improve that in the future, but it's working for now. And I wanted to add on some balloons. Now, the reason I wanted to add on some balloons for this level is that it's actually too heavy to get off the ground. Once I added on all the extra wheels and a couple of those extra logic gates, it just can't do it. And even here, you can see with two balloons, it still is not getting off the ground. I need to add all of these balloons before it gets off the ground in a way that's actually okay. And I'm just gonna fly right to the end. This level's pretty easy, you just have to reach the insignia. Once I do that, beat the level, and I'm all good to go. So with that done, next level here is called Perimeter Wall, and you just need to get over the wall to bomb the stuff behind it. Now, I put on a flamethrower in the front, and what I'm also doing, you see, is deleting the flamethrower on the bottom, and I guess I gave it away before, putting a bomb on the bottom. Now, the reason I'm doing that is, as you'll see, I can just easily drop the bomb from wherever I'm hovering over and destroy whatever's below it. And it's shockingly easy to do this, and this beats a solid 25% of the levels just by dropping a bomb on something. It's literally just that easy. Now, you also saw I backed up quite a distance. That's because the archers end up shooting, and if they hit a balloon, they'll just pop it, and I can't fly anymore. So it's a bit of a disadvantage with this design, but you can see, once I get up high enough, they actually can't shoot me anymore, and I'm pretty much safe. So at this level here, you can see I actually wasn't paying attention to the archers, and I got shot straight out of the ground. But I had a lot of problems when I was trying to turn around, and I just couldn't do it. So to fix that problem, what I wanted to do was add on some thrusters on the sides as well. So I'm able to do a quick 180 whenever I need to, and just get wherever I need. So once I had those in place, you can see here, I just dropped a bomb on a bunch of these guys, and got a ton of damage out of that, and also the fire damage did a ton too. And once I had to fly off to the side, I could easily turn around like this. And after that, I pretty much just landed on them and moved back and forth for a bit until eventually I ran over enough to beat the level. So with that level done, next one to do was this one with 2 iron ores. And this actually is kind of trivial because I just have to throw a bomb and it ends up dislodging one of the ores and it rolls right where I need to. And I can just drive this other one right into the insignia as well, and I beat that level easy. Now I also wanted to say, now that I have this bomb dropper mechanism, at least for my first run through, I'm going to be editing out all the levels where I could just beat them by dropping the bomb, since that's not really that interesting. And I'm only including the ones where I had to actively change something to make it work. Now this level is the first one I had a lot of trouble with. You can see here, I get thrown way off to the side as soon as I approach the monument, so I need to kind of come up with a solution here. And what I was thinking is using a shrapnel cannon in the front. Now the advantage of the shrapnel cannon, you can see I could just shoot, goes right past the wind like nothing, and I ended up beating the level. Now I have this really heavy shrapnel cannon in the front, and it ended up being okay, but you see I'm taking off a lot slower now. Now this level I kind of forgot to explain. What I need to do is pick up one of these wood piles on the ground and deliver it to the insignia. Now to do that, you can see I just dropped straight to the ground after dropping the bomb, and now I have that grabber completely exposed, and I can fly right on one of these wood piles, pick it right up, and then I could just kind of get my way over to the insignia. It's actually a little too heavy to get off the ground, but it's good enough I can just sort of fly my way over there, and I beat the level. So with that one done, I actually beat the entire island after beating a few more levels where I just dropped the bomb on stuff. But before moving on to the next island, I actually wanted to do a little bit of a scorecard to show you guys what's going on, and I'll do this for all the islands. And you can see here, anything green is one that I solved, and I don't think is ever going to be a problem. Basically, any machine I make should be able to beat it. Anything yellow could potentially be a problem, but I've already beaten it. And anything red, I haven't beaten yet, but that doesn't doesn't necessarily mean it's impossible for me to beat. You'll see there's different reasons for why I end up skipping over some levels. Now, in this case, this island was definitely the easiest by far, and there's only one problem level. Now, the only reason I marked this as a problem is because there's archers, and the pathway to get up is a little bit small, so I could definitely see a situation if I have a slow enough machine. It might be a really hard level. I don't think it's going to be too bad though, but I just wanted to mark it for now. And with that set of islands done, next thing I had to do was just load up the next island. Now this first level here I thought was going to be easy, but when I tried shooting the cannon, it flew off the front. Now, I was just going to fix that problem by lowering its power a bit, but I decided to get rid of the shrapnel cannon and replace it with a regular cannon instead. This cannon has a little bit of a better range, so I just wanted to switch to that as well. Now what I'm doing here is putting on some flamethrowers on the front of the wheels. And this is really important because what I need to do in this level, you see after I bomb the guys in the middle, I'm still missing like 4 of them. So I need to use the flamethrower to light them on fire and carefully back up before I light myself on fire to beat the level. So we got a couple guys in the front, and after those guys were beaten, there's only one guy left, so I just had to fly into this tower, destroy it, he fell down and died, and that beat that level. So this next one here actually is kind of trivial. I could just drop the bomb and beat the level basically, but I wanted to show it because it's actually pretty interesting. So you see, you start out and there's nothing below me, which means you basically have to have a drone to beat this level. So I'm glad I went with that in the beginning, but you see, the solution is pretty easy. It's shot the cannon, drop the bomb, and beat the level. So once I had that level done, loaded up into the next one here. So at first, I just saw I had to cut down 90% of the crops, so I figured that was going to be super easy, and I just sort of ran right into them because I figured that was probably enough to just cut them right down. But instead, that did not happen at all. You can see the crops go down a little bit, but they don't end up getting destroyed. And I tried using my flamethrower to burn them as well, but this didn't seem to do anything. The progress bar went up a little bit, but I think that's because the bomb went off and not because of the fire. So unless I'm using a lot more bombs, that's not really going to work. But I figured I could use the circular saw to just drive around and cut down all of the crops. So I put one on the end of the wheel, and I realized that's a bad idea because the circular saw wants to spin up, which means it constantly wants me to move forward, which is annoying. So I moved it to the bottom of the steering hinge instead, and you can see now once I drive into the crops, the progress bar is steadily going up, which means this should be working. So with that done, I ended up flying up into the air because you see these farmers are around and they're really annoying because they like to just swat at my bomb and cause the whole thing to explode, which, you know, is a problem. So I waited for them to all gather below me, dropped the bomb on all of them, and once I had that, I basically just drove around a ton and cut down all the crops. This took a really long time because I took a really awful route and wasn't planning anything out, but finally after going back and forth a ton, I got all the crops I needed and beat the level. So that level done, loaded up into the next one, and this is actually the first one I technically didn't beat. Now, you see here, I dropped the bomb. It's not in a great spot, but it doesn't really destroy all that much. And this is a problem because this level's pretty big, and the progress bar barely went up when I did that. So I sort of just had to go around manually crushing all of these buildings, but every time I do that, there's a good chance I'm going to mess up my controls and cause this thing to get destroyed somehow. And you can see there, I ended up losing some balloons, and here I caught myself on fire when trying to use the flamethrower. So this level technically was possible if I was careful enough, but I just wasn't right now, and I figured I should wait. I'll beat the level later once I have a better machine, and just load it up right into the next level. Now, this one was actually not the worst thing in the world, but it had a unique solution. So to beat it, you have to spin around this red crank, and it's easy enough to do with this, and I actually developed a strategy where I could run straight into it, and the cannon seemed to like tip up a little bit and cause it to rotate slightly. And just doing this enough ended up allowing me to beat the level, and it was easy enough to do. But I'm kind of worried about it because changing up my machine a lot might make that level a lot harder to do, and you'll see that's definitely the truth. But loading up into this next level here, basically what I have to do is get these poison jugs over into the well. So you saw the first thing I did was just destroy the top of the well to make it easy for me to get stuff in it. After I did that, I need to pick up one of these jugs, but it's a lot easier said than done because these stupid jugs fall over, and my grabber is just barely low enough to pick them up when they're perfectly up and down. So I have to very carefully land on the top of them. Once I have that, I just have to fly over to the well, and then I have to drop it in. But that was, again, a lot easier said than done, because the well is a pretty small hole, and it's really hard to plan when to drop these, and there I actually missed. But after enough time, I finally got one in, and that's one of two. Now, I wasn't gonna sit here for a while again, so I decided I'll come back to this one because I might have a better machine in the future, and if I don't, I'll just suffer through it then. But for now, load up into the next level, and this was another really tricky one. So I had all of these cannons around me, and I wasn't really doing that much damage. I figured my bomb might explode and cause them all to just explode as well, but that wasn't happening. And you even see here, once I ended up surviving, I still wasn't able to do anything, so all my wheels got knocked off, and there's no easy way to destroy these cannons. So my next solution was actually to put bombs on the side of my machine. Now the advantage of putting bombs on it is that, well, they explode, and it causes a lot of the other cannons to explode as well. But the best results I got was when I pushed them all the way out to the maximum distance I could, and once I did this and loaded up the level, just this first attempt here you see, was a lot better. I got almost halfway there. In fact, I think after everything was done, I was almost 80% of the way there, and all I had left to do is just write 2 more cannons. Now, I wanted to change it up a little bit, so instead of using bombs, I was using rockets. Rockets are just a little bit better because they fly a bit further, which is nice for other levels, but also they kind of get right in between 2 cannons, and I ended up getting a lot more destruction. And you can see here, after a lot of tries, I finally beat it. So after dealing with all those explosions, I figured I could probably just use that to beat this level as well. And it was a Sacred Flame level. It looked like I just had to extinguish it, so I dropped a bomb on it, but that didn't seem to do anything. It knocked it off its little perch, but it didn't extinguish it at all. So what I was thinking I could do was just add a water cannon right to the back of this, and I could just throw the water right on the flame, and that should extinguish it. And now flying up to the top here, you see I ended up catching myself on fire by getting too close, but by some miracle, the water perfectly landed on the fire, and I put it out. And with that one done, next one to do is the sword level, and this was very, very tricky. So the problem is this sword is really heavy, and the only way I really have to get it out of the ground is to land directly on it and pull it straight out using the grabber. And I have these rockets, as you can see, and they're gonna push straight up and hopefully propel myself up so I'll have enough force to get it out of the ground. Now, getting on the sword is really hard. You see the amount of attempts I have here just getting near it. Sometimes I even got really close to being on it, and then my wheel hit it, and then I got completely knocked off to the side. It was annoying, but eventually here, got the grabber to land right on it, and once I had that done, I turned on the rockets, and it actually did manage to pull it out of the ground. Now this is great, but it was actually bad because then I accidentally hit the wrong button and dropped the sword. And my rockets actually went for way too long and I got thrown way far away from where I was supposed to be. So what I did is turn down the flight duration. I struggled again to land back on it. And once I got that in place, I turned back on the rockets, and you can see here I got out of the ground and I ended up flying to a pretty convenient location. And once I did that, I had to drop all the way to the ground, which took a little bit. And once I was there, I just dislodged the sword and I had to push it all the way over to the insignia, which took a while because it's heavy and kind of awkward, but I got it there and I beat the level. So the very next level is actually a really tough one. So you can see I have this metal box and I can shoot off the top of it using the cannon, but there's actually a book inside I need to grab and bring to that insignia, and it's really annoying. So the grabber is just slightly too high to be able to grab it, but I can't lower the grabber because the way I have the bomb means I can't get it any lower without it rubbing against the ground. Now originally I was going to throw the bomb at the book to see what would happen, and I ended up going a little bit early, but you see the book actually kind of came out of the box a little bit. So I was thinking, what if I used more bombs near the bottom of the box to throw it out of the box? I figured that would probably be an easy way to beat the level. And you can see here I have a rocket and I'm putting 2 bombs on the side of it, and once I threw the rocket right at the box, it exploded at about the right spot, so I figured that might just work out well. Now I was going to use more bombs as well because, well, why not? I figured 2 might do the trick, but having more would be convenient for other levels as well, and also there's no reason to not just go overboard. So I did here, I launched the rocket, and you can see it actually threw the book right out of the box like I was hoping it would do. And after I got that done, I just had to push the book over to the insignia, which took a very long time because I couldn't really get a good grab on it. But finally there I got it, and after actually beating another level by just throwing a bomb at something, I ended up beating the island, and that was 2 of the 4 done. Now with this one done, I'll show you the scorecard now, and it's a little messier than last time, but it's not the end of the world. So starting out here at the Duke's Tier Freighters, you can see there's just a bunch of these flying ships, and it wasn't particularly hard to destroy them. I could use the cannon and the bomb and the flamethrower to get them, but it's definitely tedious, and I lit myself on fire way too many times, so I just had to make sure I'm nimble enough to be able to beat that. Now, the next level I listed as a problem was the one with all the crops, and I really only listed it as a problem because I need to make sure it's small enough to get around all these fields, and also need to make sure I include a saw blade so I can cut everything down. Now, the first unsolved level is the one with the big village. It's not unsolved because I didn't know how to do it, it's unsolved because I'm just pushing it off till later. The next problem level is odd contraption, because spinning this around really only worked because of the way my specific machine worked. If I change it up a bit, I'm worried this level is going to get significantly harder, and that's definitely the truth. Now, the next unsolved level in this group is the well level, and again, this one's only unsolved because I just been pushing it off until later. It's not unsolved because I don't know how to do it. Now, the next problem level is the sword level, and this one's a problem only because I need to make sure the rockets are always able to push up the sword. If it gets too heavy and can't do that, I can't beat the level. And finally here, the last problem level is the one with the knowledge. This one's only hard because I need to make sure the bombs I have are able to throw the book out. If I had some extra stuff into the front, or if I get rid of those bombs, it's not going to be able to do it anymore, and that level's definitely going to be unbeatable. Now, with the first 2 islands done, I'm on the 3rd one now, and this one was a massive difficulty step up. You can see here, just starting in this first level, load in, all I have to do is get to the other side. So I just sort of chill for a second, and then, yeah. So there's an incredibly strong headwind, and my vehicle is not taking it well. Even the rockets could not fight this wind. So I didn't really even know where to start, so after quite a long time, I decided maybe putting on more wheels might help me get some more traction, and this seemed to have an effect. You can see I tilted back first, but then I just got thrown. It was the exact same thing. And even putting on these spiked balls to hopefully grab into the ground did seem to help, but not nearly enough. I just lifted up anyway and got thrown away. So my solution was to get rid of all of the balloons and replace them with just regular flying blocks. Now the advantage of doing this is that the balloons will pull up constantly, but these only pull up when I want them to. So it can still fly, you can see here. But now it effectively weighs more normally, and you can see now I'm not really getting thrown as easily. So after quite a long time, I ended up also realizing I could put some more pieces on the front to propel myself through the wind, and once I did this, I slowly could start making progress. And I also had some pieces pulling me down against the ground to get a little bit more traction, and to this level, it looks like it took me not that long, but I swear I had to sleep on it. It took a very long time to get right, and eventually here you can see, I do get to the end and beat the level. Now I load into the next level, and I'm not actually worried about beating the level right now. I just want to make sure this can still fly, and it kind of just can't. The problem is replacing the balloons with the flying blocks does still work to give me thrust, but the balloons also provide some stability that these blocks don't. So now I'm tilting to the side and it's like impossible to fly. So I have to replace some of the flying blocks with the balloons again, but I know it's going to cause problems in the previous level, so I'll have to come back to that when I do my second round. But for now, I just want to get this level done, and I actually don't quite do it. Now to beat this level, I have to ring all 3 bells at the same time, and to do that, you just have to run into them. But it's not really an obvious way to do it right now, and the way I end up doing it is definitely not what I expected. And I'll show that in part 2, but now I'm on the next level, and this one, what I have to do is basically destroy a mine and get 3 pieces of gold to the insignia. Now, to do that, you see I put down a lot more rockets, and now when I set off the rockets, they sort of just go everywhere, but enough of them end up going to the mine that I destroy enough of it, and enough of the gold is exposed that I should be able to bring it to the insignia. Now, once I freed the gold, I actually didn't beat the level, because it was going to take an incredibly long time to get all of the gold exactly where I needed it to go. So I put down more rockets, and once I did this, I loaded into the next level here, and basically for this one, I just have to destroy a lot of these troops, and it's not as easy just dropping a bomb, because they don't like to hover right below me. So my solution is put down a lot more rockets, and once I did this, they just went everywhere and wiped everything out. And with that one done, I loaded into this next level, and it's the first one that has actually stumped me. So basically what I have to do is get this cube out from its center area and move it to the insignia. This normally is not that hard. There's 2 other levels similar to it in the first 2 islands, but this one has a bit of a twist that makes it very difficult. You see there when I fly into it, all my stuff freezes and falls off, and there's also 0 gravity by the cube. So I can't just rely on landing on this and shoving it through the ground and then pushing it to the insignia to work. I have to come up with a different solution. And I mess around for quite a while with a few different things, and one of the big breakthroughs I had at least was messing around with the rockets and having them run right into the cube. This shoves the cube over quite a distance, and this takes me quite a bit of time trying to get it out of the center area. So you see in the slow-mo shot exactly how it works. Basically the bottom set of rockets and the top ones to an extent. Push it over, and yeah, that's basically it. Now, this is a good start, but I still need another way of doing this, and I eventually come up with something, but that's going to be for part 2. But for now, I'm going to show you the scorecard, because that's the last level I'm going to be doing in this video. Now, this looks pretty bad at first, because you can see over half of the levels aren't green, but for the most part, they're theoretically possible. I'm just pushing them off until later. So Frozen Path, that's the one where I have to fight the wind. I know that one's going to be a problem since I already edited the craft, so it's probably not going to work in that level. The bell level, I do have a solution for now. You'll see that in the next video, but now it's unsolved since I moved past it. Now the gold level, that one, again, theoretically possible, but I'm going to need some sort of a better way to move the gold over. So it's unsolved for now, but I'll probably have a better solution soon. And the last one I got to in this video is also a problem with that cube. That one for now is legitimately unsolved. I'm going to need to come back to that one and figure out another way to do it. And I'll leave you guys with a little sneak peek so you can see what the next 3 levels are going to look like. So guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to come back for part 2. That'll either be posted next week or the week after that. I'm also hosting a Besiege competition on my Discord. Make sure to join that. You can check out the rules there. I also have a community post on it. Make sure to subscribe so you see more content like this. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And otherwise, until next time.